Sorry, I'm just over here praying for no more field endings. I can't take another one, Hypoc. I want some action on some other section of the map other than a field.
Well, I mean, Godspeed actually made a really good point that the initial circle pops were actually pretty vanilla, if that's the term we want to use. But it's the endings where it's absolutely the teams that are proactive. They play pre-circle pop. They're looking to clear their edge, get as much space as possible, because as soon as that circle pops, you've got to be scouting for something. We know come circles 3 and 4, there's so few options when when the circle shifts towards the fields there. I mean, ultimately, we know once the shacks are occupied, like somebody's got to crash something. You've got to put some damage in and then follow up on that in terms of that kind of leapfrogging strategy we always talk about. So I'm absolutely with Godspeed there. It seems like, Liberate on the south side of that previous circle, trying to clean up monkey business and gravity. And then in game 1, Team Clueless in the end game kind of, taking it on themselves, being decisive in that situation, sweeping the edge and making as much space for themselves as possible. So yes, maybe if we see another field ending, I just want to see some teams play it a bit differently.
I liked everything you said until the last sentence, Hypoc, and then you lost me with the
hey, look.
If we get another fielding, okay, look. I enjoy some fieldings.
The way I see it, field endings are fun if one team actually takes the initiative to go out and farm them. Like fields are there to be farmed. That's all I'll say.
We did see that with Supremacy, where they were trying to reposition with the vehicles and do some other stuff. But I mean, Keck W, man, I'm really enjoying the way that they play stuff. We didn't get a chance to see a lot of the action that was going down around with them on the western parts of the circle, but as they were holding down complexes just the east of that hillside, just east of the warehouse as well. It was a very active game for them, hence how they walked away with so many kills. So hoping the fact that we get to catch a little bit more of the action moving in with them as it progresses. But first circle is going to pop, and it looks like Elusive is going to find themselves pretty close to the center. No more crazy running around having to happen this time. Also, Cozy and Clueless in pretty comfortable positions as well.
Yeah, well, just again, I know they started talking stats on the desk. I mean, Keck W Key is the highest earning Erangel team, obviously in the previous stages of this, but the concern is going to be is whether or not they can kind of switch up their Miramar performance. Obviously, this being the last game of Erangel for the day, only managed 28 points in total on Miramar previously, and they were the best performing Erangel team. So that definitely is a consideration now that obviously we're getting halfway through day 1. The guys are absolutely right. If you have a bad day overall, it is half the game. So we come back to that cliche of how late do you leave it in a series to kind of switch things up. And I mean, the way these games are playing out, I don't want to see anybody kind of making a slow play. Again, well, I mean, it comes back to being proactive and absolutely capitalizing on the situation of, some teams that are maybe just scraping through, playing for that 8 to 10 point kind of average and banking on that with bad placements. Go and take control in the mid game, look for space, crash some compounds. Don't leave it until the final day.
And that's kind of the thing. Like, we often talk about the fact that, like, force people to play your game is one of the big factors that I think both you and I talk about a lot. Is if you're just sitting there passively and just trying to get information and whatnot, that's not going to pay off in the end. One of the things that I find that's really interesting in this is we're seeing that a lot of our more passive teams, specifically based off the circles and how much field was inside of them, were kind of just trying to, like, lackadaisically push their way inside the circle and just getting annihilated as they made their approach in, just because everybody else was already in position waiting to kill them.
Yeah, I mean, again, these first few games, you got to take them with a pinch of salt. Again, this isn't necessarily a well-rehearsed lobby. I know, obviously, some of these times some of these guys will have been scrimming, obviously, in preparation for this, but you don't get enough of a data sample to know kind of what everybody does on like a slightly northeast circle pop. Do you know what I mean? Just those small kind of variables that PUBG can throw at you, and those things can really throw your game plan off. If you get held up for just even a minute in rotation, it completely throws your game off. And then there's a third team involved in that equation that takes the compound you usually go for, and that's where we kind of see that chaos factor become a thing in PUBG.
We've got a couple of rotations coming in play. It looks like Orion's decided the fact that they want to make their way into the safe zone pretty quickly. Clueless looks like they might be eyeing back over towards Heaven. A couple of shots now going to be exchanged between them and make them think a little bit better of it. There's a safety play going back behind there. Actually, no. Clueless says, nah, I think that we want this. And Elusive, well, you've decided to go ahead and make your play back over towards us. And no, flipping out at the wrong time. Looks like they are going to be able to get in position, though. Not going to take too many casualties off that. Just Hambino taking some damage. Nothing too scary. Everybody was looking back up the hillside. Would hate to see that be the catastrophe for these guys coming out from here, but Clueless now starting to play this a touch more aggressive. I don't think so. One of the elusive players that played a little bit lower. Good shot's going to connect back over towards it, and it's going to be Fizzle. Fizzle, please don't be the problem at the beginning game yet again. The curse is starting to continue back over for him. He doesn't have a lot of good position to play, but it's going to be Shuru that goes down. Rez should be able to come out from NHS. Not a good angle to play around, but it's going to be Cozy taking long-range shots at distance, really connecting back over towards him, and the grenade's going to land back over to flush out Shuru. That's going to be a little bit of a problem, but NHS is still up. A lot of attention being drawn back over. The other members of Elusive are going to come back over onto this angle as well. Good hold coming up from Elusive right now, buying more space, and Clueless has to try to run, but Hambino is taking a ton of damage, does narrowly manage to make it away from this, and looks like he's thinking of playing back over next to Mansion.
Yeah, just a weird execution on that crash there. 2 crashed onto the south side, 2 crashed onto the north, so they didn't really have numbers to really kind of push into the compound there. I feel like, there was only really 1 member of Elusive playing on the flat top, maybe just to commit to crashing the south side. Bit of split focus maybe there.
Well, I think that the vehicle flipping threw off the strategy for just a second. And then we had Cozy that was back behind them, harassing them on a different angle. And then suddenly the plan is just in shambles. You know what I mean?
I mean, the buggy never intended to crash south side. He was rolling over the north side. So I would have preferred to see Clueless pull up on the ridge there. Maybe
you never know. Maybe they were trying to turn right and it just decided to flip like a lot. I don't know. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt there. Is Hypoc. I know. I'm with you though, but Elusive and early game weirdness just seems to be the theme. I thought at one point we might just be seeing Fizzle be cursed, but it just feels like the team is getting random things happening to them at the beginning of every single round.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely can't catch a break early game, that's for sure. If it's not early game, it's vehicles, right?
True. Actually, are they just now starting to inflict their curse on teams around them with vehicles, and that's how come we saw it flipping off into the distance? Maybe it's just don't drive anywhere near them, but we do have a lot of teams that are driving right now as Pros Don't Snake, making a rotation in, as well as Ascendants. This is going to be a lot friendlier. Yes, it does have the South Yasnaya plains that are fields that are in play, but we see a lot of other territory being disputed at the time. Still 61 people alive. Lister looks like he might be having an internet issue back in the back of this. The other members of Pros Don't Snake making their way into the safe zone right now, Lister being the only member out.
Maybe he's playing the 17 spot. He's probably got 26 first aid kits. Poro will hate that reference as well. He hates PUBG lore, man. He hates it.
What do you mean? Like, I just remember the big breakdown on whether or not it is the 17 strat or the TSM strat, on at which point does it matter when the person uses it first. But yes, I know exactly what you're referencing back over that. Just emitting through the blue, but we'll see if Lister does manage to reconnect back onto here. Keck W, our last round supremacy beaters there, are going to be back down towards the south, having a lot of control over the circle. No Cap actually running a 2-2 split in a fairly safe position back over towards the east, but depending on how Keck W does make a rotation, we might see them come into contact. I wouldn't be surprised if Keck W maybe plays this back over towards this eastern section. I don't know. It's weird to call it the eastern section whenever it's really kind of the center of the circle because there's still so much water in play as well.
Yeah, there's a big chunk to take into consideration. Again, if this centers up, it's still going to be a factor, but KW should have a lot of time and space to obviously scout their way into this. Gravity, the only really one lurking, I'd say, towards like the south side of this circle. If you think about Mansion being pretty much center, or kind of north of Mansion, actually. Sorry. There's not really much of a reason to send it too far north if you KW this situation. You're in the circle, you've done the hard bit, and then you get a really good shift like that. So, maybe in this situation you want to take Lumberyard and just chill for another circle or two.
Well, good luck to our 30,000 northern teams that are now going to have to rotate through. Bright note, not a lot of fields that are going to be inside of play on this one, but our teams back over to the north are going to have to do a major rotation. You can see the push that Ascendance is making. There are a lot of teams that are going to be coming along a similar path back behind this. Looks like 3 to 4 different teams could be holding down position. Oddly enough, Lippo is open, but I doubt too many teams are going to opt into playing for that position right now. Depends on if we have to see a couple of shots coming through to really send it back over. While Ascendance is making their rush forward, we do have Liberate and I believe 3 other teams that are starting to bump into each other. Yes, it's going to be Monkey Business coming along a similar path. And then there's a tail end team that's back behind that. I can't quite make out just due to the stack of names that are all up on top of each other. Liberate's going to be able to give a little bit of distance back over towards Monkey Business, but our northern corridor is just becoming just clustered with teams that are all just trying to carve out a little section of the map back over onto this angle. It's just our eastern teams making very long rotations that might find themselves in a little bit more of an interesting spot, as looks like KEKW is going to stop their little bit of a rotation as they bump into Ascendants, finally stopping theirs.
Yeah, Retaliative just going to back out of that one. Again, looking for Lipovka at this stage, I think you're absolutely right. Unless we see a circle that's going to be, you know, water aside, ending towards here, it's a weird spot to try and play from. You're not really going to get much control in the mid game. Actually, oh my God, Prozone Snake actually pulling up right on the backside of Liberate, trailing them in rotation. A little bit of damage coming through. Hello Senpai going to find Dirty's in. Liberate actually
getting away with this.
Yeah, I was going to say, Liberate not actually converting this damage onto... Oh, there you go. I think Lissa just got plucked out of the day. See that? By somebody else. Baja actually going to steal it away.
Well, Sociopath, there's not a lot of good options. He spots another one off the side. Spray is going to come through. Guabi connects with a lot. Sociopath finally manages to make it past Liberate, but guess what? There's a couple more teams that want to go ahead and give you their undivided love and attention. Looks like Sociopath's going to stop right along the path. Remember, Ascendance was playing a 2-2 split over towards the north and the south of Lippo. Skaska's going to be coming in back behind this. Looks like he's going to be able to find himself a place to stop as well, as Maji's not going to have the angle just quite yet. Liberate says, hey, there's some weakened teams over here. Let's just go ahead and try to chase them down. Ice Tech's just going to roll right in, actually popping over here right next to Ascendance's Ripper. That's going to be a problem for him. Quick Shot's going to connect onto it, but luckily the wall buys a little bit more time and space, but unluckily not enough as Ice Tech does go down. Baja Waka now finds himself down and out as well, and this is not what Liberate was expecting. They thought that they were just going to roll in here, pick up the remnants of Pros Don't Snake, instead find a 3-strong Ascendance. Looking back over in this angle, the fourth one back, now starting to play for an angle as well.
That's going to send the last two members of Liberate a bit further back north, going to try and secure their position on the beach for the time being. But Ascendants now, I mean, they have KEKW over to the west and Pros Don't Snake over to the north side. This is one of those situations that I know Godspeed was talking about. It's being proactive here. Whilst you've got the time and the space, the circle's not a factor. You want to deal with these threats because ultimately, you know, Pros Don't Snake, they're a team that could potentially hold Ascendants inside. Well,
look at Tomas standing up along the position where we see Beck playing. Beck has really got his attention kind of focused back over towards PDS right now. Tomas says, okay, this might be a little bit too dangerous. Do remember the fact that we do have one of the members for Cozy that's holding up in the position. It's going to be Nitrogen, not taking any shots. New circle's going to pop, and it looks like it's just going to be going lumberyard galore. You called that was the way to go, Hypok, and it looks like all these teams that decided to have to stop along the way are going to find themselves in a little bit of trouble. Remember how we were just talking about you don't want to leave Lippo? You're about to realize why you don't want to leave Lippo.
This is the problem now, and Highway becomes such a bottleneck in the circle. KEKW in a good position if they want to camp out some kill points and hold these rotations, but again, I think they should have the knowledge with how little pressure they got on the way in, coming through Milta Power, that there's not going to be an awful lot of teams down to the south of them. So I do not fault them at all for flexing a little bit south in, maybe playing this one a little bit cautiously if not camping these rotations.
This is a little bit problematic for Liberate's 2 that they had remaining, as Monkey Business is going to roll up right back behind them. The push is going to come out from Ascendance. Going to go ahead and take down Sociopath. Skaska's the last one up, holding that little bit of a stairwell. We know how that can go. Just a couple of grenades going to go ahead and connect with him. That's going to be Pros Don't Snake going out as our first team. But rotation woes continue to harass a lot of these teams based off of position. You can see Ascendance going to go ahead and get control and loot based off of that. But we got Monkey Business and Liberate, and they're a little bit of a hold just to the south of this. It's going to be No Cap posting up next to Cozy as well. So these two members from Liberate, last two remaining members, now having to figure out ways to contend with Monkey Business that was playing the high ground back behind him. Looks like Guabi is going to go ahead and step back over towards the angle, but I think Kite might be able to spot it out. No! Turns away at the last second. Looks like he's going to go back for his vehicle, so now going to have to continue back along this path. There is a remnant from VRT that's actually taking shots into this as well, just to make things a little bit more interesting. They've got two of their members that decide to stay back behind, continue to harass. The other one's going to go ahead and make the rotation. Finally, Liberate does get enough distance back behind this that they can make their rotation, but it's right as soon as the Blue's going to be connecting with them.
And it's actually KEKW and Cozy that are camping this highway position I was talking about. Cozy will open up, find one of No Cap. It's actually so ugly elsewhere fallen. Ploob down to 10 HP now. He's got to try and convert some of this damage, add it. Nowhere really in a position to help him, to be honest with you. Nitrogen are going to find that one. And that's just one standing now for No Cap. And he's sent it all the way south. Keck W actually getting involved in this fight as well, trying to steal some of these kill points away. But that's the bottleneck I was talking about, Matt.
Yeah, Addit's the only team that really made it through there. And guess what? We've got another team that's willing to run the gauntlet. It looks like Ascendant's going to be coming along a similar path. Nice shot coming out from Untitled. Going to go ahead and connect back over onto Reno in distance, but he's going to go ahead and get a little bit of throwable out. Ascendance is going to use this distraction to come up on the lower side, right over here next to the bay. Good positioning coming out. Beck got to be careful. Going to go ahead and lose his vehicle, but doesn't care. He's got the safety play to work around. Are we going to see a different flank position coming back over towards Keck W? Are they going to spot it out? Looks like we're starting to see a little bit of harassment start to come in off of this. But no, they're actually looking up the hillside back over towards Cozy right now.
Yeah, this is fantastic for Keck W. Potentially an opportunity for them to regroup if they can get away from the shack circle. Let's see where it goes. It does actually pull pretty hard over to the west now. So, again, creates a huge problem for everybody on the north side, Matt. Prison's still in. Obviously, all that area over to the west and some of Shelter still in. But Elpic's now in a situation where, they are still playing split here. So I like the fact they are controlling some space. But a lot of these teams got to get moving fast.
Well, we have the potentials of a Shelter ending coming in play. Lots of Lumberyard has now been shifted away. Winnie in a very difficult position. Got Cozy up in front of him, back on the eastern side. It's going to be everybody for a sentence. So Winnie has to make choices of trying to go for Knox, maybe just try to go for a couple of flushes. But you can see Beck is still just continuing to hold up and provide a lot of damage back over towards Cozy. With the circle shift, though, all of these teams are going to have to move. So Keck W has a very difficult choice to make on whether or not they try to harass at range or just go ahead and try to move into the safe zone. Let's not forget, Liberate was back behind this. You can see them on the mini-map now starting to creep their way back over towards this angle. But there is just a defensive line of teams going all the way across this sector. There is nowhere for Liberate to really make a run to. Beck's just going to go ahead and say, nope, I'm just going to send it back over into Destructible Shack, see if maybe I can run over somebody. Doesn't connect with anything. But now Liberate can take a couple of shots back over, does connect with Tetra, gets a knock onto him. The Ascendant's rolling back over, now back over towards the angle that Winnie was playing from. Is this going to allow Keck W to provide a little bit of support? But no, they just roll through up into this and say, Winnie, we want to make sure everything on this angle is taken care of. So now Keck W can start their rotation back over with, oddly enough, the remnants of Cozy, who are starting to make a play back over onto that direction. Relative trying to see if connect with a shot, though, as they hop into the vehicle. Does not connect. So that might be a little bit of a telling sign for the end of this skirmish, as Keck W is going to make their way west. Gravity is also going to continue to do so, but we still have about 3 teams back over towards the north that are trying to figure out some way to make it inside the safe zone.
Yeah, I mean, actually, a miracle that not more players are falling here. Again, circle's still closing in, so there's definitely still time for some players to fall. Actually, this is the situation out on the north side. The remnants of monkey business caught up with it in supremacy. Actually, look over to Shelter right now, Matt. Play for fun. Making a push on the way in. San Diego Rarity. Acro going to find one.
Acro showing up big for his team, trying to go for the flush. Spots out the last one, but it looks like we are getting the randomness that could be a Shelter fight, as a little bit of a recessed position coming up from Math right now. We're trying to find the angle to play around, but this is just kind of a peak battle between 2 different Jack-in-the-Boxes, seeing if they can connect. You know, Acro just wants to at least go for the flushes right now. You can see Nate trying to reposition to see if maybe he can get some information back over towards his teammate. A little bit of a crawl starting to come out from the other side of this for play for fun. Not quite finding the angle yet, still playing inside the smokes, but still it's denying any res coming out. So Nate's just going to end up going down in this position, and Rarity on the outskirts of this point knows the fact that they are fairly safe as they're on the edge of the circle, but have to be very, very careful off of this. You can see Monkey Business opted into rotating over here next to Supremacy. It's gone not the best as far as things are considering inside of these rotations coming up. Supremacy doing a great job on holding the line. Going to go ahead and flush them out. Good spray come out from Reknar, as a vehicle's just going to go ahead and blow up right in front of him and almost crush him, but he does survive through it.
No, and this is, again, the byproduct of that situation out on the north side. Keck W actually going to fall to Ascendants elsewhere. That was up towards Lumberyard. But Supremacy will find a little bit of space here. And actually, Reknar going to send it all the way through. He's going to try and help his teammate, pushing up onto the east side of Prison here. But Gravity, they're kind of split right now. Lipson's the only one to kind of defend this push. And Femme Fatale falling means that Reknar's the last man standing.
Another circle shift going to make its way back over towards Shelter. So this is going to be a problem for Reknar to kind of play around from this point. Gravity as well going to have to make their way back over towards the safe zone. A lot of the same teams that we were looking at just a little while ago playing back over towards the eastern section of this hill. Reknar looking up, seeing if maybe he can spot something. This is going to be very difficult to try to connect on. But with only 20 seconds before the circle starts to collapse, there's not a lot to work with. Lots of damage does come out, but D-Rich does step right over into it and does manage to hold up, get the shots to connect on. But now Gravity has to rotate. They're going to have Clueless that's in front of them, playing off a position, as well as, I believe, 2 Orion members. Elusive still playing over towards the north, not inside the safe zone just quite yet, so we're going to see how these rotations come into play as Hambino and Nick 101 are finding themselves in a very awkward situation as well. Ryan on one side, Gravity on the other.
Yeah, actually, in a really good position to kind of clean up this. This pulling all of Prison out makes it very difficult for Clueless to defend this edge. Actually, Gravity making ways around to the north side, but you see here Elusive have managed to find their way into the circle, and this is what I was talking about. Ascendant's trying to camp this rotation out here. Actually, Lipson and Pankill going to combine, clean up the last members of Ascendants, and hopefully going to get hold of, I mean, some good pathing. But again, they've got Orion in front of them now, Clueless as well to worry about on the west side of these rocks, and then Cozy beyond that. You can actually see Hambino opening up onto Orion. That might be the green light for Gravity to push up and third party this.
Looks like Gravity is really eyeing towards the top of the hillside, but they do hear those firefight. Look back over towards that direction. Back over towards the south, just to give you an idea, there is L-Pix that's getting caught up in a fight with Virtue right now, as well as No Cap's last member at it. So a lot of really awkward situations coming over here, but Elusive also hears this firefight, wants to come in, get a little bit more involved. That's going to be Destinator connecting on the shots over towards Nick 101. Going to continue to make their way up the hillside. Hambino, the last one up for his squad, caught in between 2 different teams that are both very bloodthirsty right now, so going to have to hit the shots of his life to survive through this one. Not even inside the safe zone just quite yet. You can hear the footsteps coming up around him. Good shot's going to be coming out from the back behind this, as it's going to be D-Rich that provides a little bit of cover, but Greta the Goat spins back over with the rest of the team, does connect back over towards it. Going to go ahead and throw down the smoke to try to get the res, but the distraction from Hambino back on the other side is going to slow down Elusive just for a second.
There's 13 people alive. I actually only just looked up at the player count there. They are going to be able to get that res off. So Greta is going to be able to push a bit further into this zone. But you can see Elusive, they're aware of the numbers. There's 5 kills on the board already. They did want to maybe try and catch some of these players off guard before they could fully recover from this. Nitrogen just big chilling. I think he's got the last 3 shifts back to back.
Out of everybody that is looking at this circle and being concerned, I think at this point it could be Poro of all people, because Elusive still sitting up 4 members out of the survivors right now that you can see a scattering of weakened teams sitting at 5 kills right now. They have control over a high ground position. Really looking back over towards the other side of it, you can see that there's just damaged teams just kind of spread out all over the place right now. They have so much territory that they control, and they have numbers advantage on near on anything. As long as they don't walk into a trap, that looks like they might find themselves in a very strong position.
You could be right there, and the number 1 Tater and Greta going to find some way into the the south side of this circle. Shouldn't have too much to deal with. Again, Virtue are still lurking on the south side. We still have Adit, who's the solo. Obviously, we know the rest of his team died on the highway a couple of circles ago, but should be able to find something to hold on to here. Greta actually spotting out 1 player inside the Wizard Tower. If they can get a beat on the second, they might actually be able to hold him here on the edge.
Good reposition coming out from this. Slowly creeping back in. Really, it's just our southern teams that are not inside the safe zone just quite yet. Virtue goes ahead and spots out Greta. Quick drop back over towards it, and now it is just number 1 Tater playing back behind a tree. But luckily, it blocks out a lot of the vision back over towards the windows that are looking his direction from the Wizard Tower. The issue with it is he is not yet inside the safe zone. He still has a little bit of time to figure out how he wants to handle this, but maybe Baddie and Evasion might start looking the other direction and give him the opportunity to creep forward, but he's just playing this one really passive right now, not wanting to give away, hoping the fact that maybe he can just kind of sneak this one in. It should be noted, back onto a different angle, No Cap's last member at it, also creeping back into a very safe corridor inside the safe zone, so might find a little bit of spot. And I said the fact that Elusive, you have the numbers advantage as long as you don't start to blow it. Well, quick flush coming out from Nitrogen back over towards the east is going to be a little bit of a problem. Nitrogen really just by his lonesome, stalling out the control that you can see that Elusive is trying to place onto this one. Having a couple bullets go in towards his feet, but still going to find a different angle. Destinator is going to take him down. And there we go. I guess the northeastern area now entirely belongs to Elusive.
And again, they can theoretically still use their numbers advantage if they play this one correctly. They do have a lot of space to flex out. They can find a lot of angles here. Number one
What you got,
potato.
Tater?
Still going to heal this one out. And again, I don't think Virtue are going to expect a backstab from the blue right now at this stage of the game. Going to find the first one. Baddie going to fall, goes for the flush, and there you go. It's actually the blue that's going to claim that victim. So they won't, Evasion won't put another kill on the board for Virtue, but good stuff from Orion again. You know, damage control, get one more on the board before going out. The circle goes straight over to Elusive now, and this is where all that space becomes such a huge factor in the game.
I mean, they're the only team inside the safe zone. They've got the entirety of the east, the north, the south. They have the firing lines. You can see that each one is just breaking off, and in their individual team fight or individual fights, if they manage to hit their shots and get the control, they will very quickly be able to just take complete domination over this game. Fizzle playing back over towards the hillside, looking back over towards Rarity's last member. Two members that are still up for play for fun, Math and USAD, look back over, and it's going to be Jay all day that does connect onto that shot, though. So still playing back over towards the high ground with Decimator is going to have a little bit of reward for it. Play for fun, slowly creeping their way up the hillside, but you can see that the firing line coming out from Elusive is so strong. There's really, everybody's just being herded into the hillside, and it's just continual harassment that they just get to inflict upon every team that moves near them.
Yeah, they can. And I mean, Elusive playing this one perfectly, to be honest with you. Obviously, reacting based off this kill feed information. Then move forward a little bit more. Actually, Fizzle definitely looking to get active here before this circle cuts out a lot of space. And I like this. This is another one of those proactive moves we're talking about. If Math actually catches a beat on this, though, Fizzle could be caught with his pants down, to be honest with you.
I love this. Moving out of the safe zone to get into a position point so that way he knows where Play for Fun is going to try to play from. Do note that Addit is back behind this the whole time and is going to have to try to figure out some type of angle to make, and might be choosing to choose a little bit of an angle along this path as well. You can see that Evasion still playing back over towards the other side. This is going to have to start creeping in. Wouldn't be surprised if Evasion or Addit maybe bump into each other, but it looks like No Cap's Addit is really pushing back over towards this little bit of a dip and might find an outside angle to play from. Math, it seems like he's kind of got the role right now of looking back over that direction, so might be able to buy a little bit more time. This is working out perfectly for Elusive. If you look on the mini map right now, they have everybody contained into this point. Evasion's going to be coming up on the high ground back behind this, not going to really spot out at it just yet. But Elusive has complete and utter control of every single territory. Shot's going to come back over and through, giveaway position, but Addit does manage to pick up the kill off of it. But that's at least going to reveal another point. You can see Play for Fun now creeping back over towards this hillside, trying to get the shots back over towards him, while Fizzle is trying to rain a little bit of damage back behind it. Gonna have to play this one a little bit more carefully, but No Cap does get eliminated in third. And here comes the push. Fizzle has all the information to be aware of. You can see the rest of the members trying to move forward. Doesn't manage to make it into safety, as does get flashed and does not see where to go off of this. Now turning this into a 2v2. It's going to be Play for Fun back down in the low sections of this, but Elusive has Decimator and Jay All Day playing up in the high ground. Jay All Day playing from the tree, should have the first sight line back into what's going on, but the new circle is still going to favor the positioning coming up from Elusive. They just have to look back down in the dip and wait for everybody to step out. Good shots connect from Jay All Day to start it off.
Yeah, some good tags coming in there. Again, just back-to-back awkward sprays there with the barrel. Now, you rightfully said, we're in a 2v2 now. Again, it's all on the back of whether or not Elusive don't give away a knock here at this stage of the game. You know, Play for Fun have to make this push up the hill. You can see Destinator actually finding Math now. USAD, the last man standing. Gonna pull out the bolt, maybe look for a PK. Actually, that's the kind of situation you want, the bolt. I mean, if somebody gives you one away, actually, the nade is perfect, though. The trade back and forwards, Elusive will close this one out with 10 kills. But, wow, I was just about to say, if he can find a headshot here, it could open up an opportunity for him to find a way onto the hillside. But the nade from the grave from Jay All Day
just dumps it down. Such range that he got from that high ground position. Cooked perfectly just to land right back behind him. And so with this, Elusive Detonator walking away with 6 kills for his team. Big plays coming out from them. And again, just very coordinated, all things considered. I guess that's the way it works. Okay, so we're starting to figure out the car karma coming in for Elusive. If they kill somebody or somebody else next to them has car misfortune, good game. If they have the car misfortune at the start, bad game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's definitely a recipe I think they should cling on to for dear life, I guess.
Don't flip your vehicle. Don't break random things at the very start. Don't end up having to get into a fist fight and have somebody save you at the very early stages of the game. You know, just those things. Just those things. It's fine.
No, but credit where credit's due. They played that very well. I mean, other than You got to argue Fizzle should have got that opening knock. It never should have come down to a 2v2, but they recovered well, held on to the position. Again, they just have to play time in that situation and wait for play for fun to push in the open towards them. So absolute credit for the end game performance there from Elusive.
Yeah, I loved the positioning coming over from Fizzle, getting the information, feeding it back over. The rest of the team capitalized off of it so efficiently. But I don't know. There was some comments made about Elusive moving into this game that I was kind of curious about. So, Poro, would you like to follow up?
No?
Yes, I believe that was the throw.
That was
that was actually the throw to. And you know what? I gotta say, about 20, 30 minutes or so, I set this roster on fire. Put them out by the garbage can, where they also caught the rest of the garbage on fire. And now they turn around and they win a game. Godspeed.
listen. If we have to roast these teams for them to start performing like we expect them to, then I
am more than happy. Who next? Who wants to win?
I will be that guy. But
I'm ready.
No, in all honesty, we had said it. Hopefully they prove us wrong, and yeah, that's a pretty good way to shut us up. Clover, what do you think?
I think for sure, you asked who next. We need to maybe get on Monkey Business's tail
Yeah.
a little bit too,
Let's do
because
it.
they're struggling. just a bit.
Okay, relax.
All right, well, let's take a look at the highlights and see how Elusive got that ever so elusive win, as it were. And we start off with a couple of nice little shots here from Ripper before ending it into Ice Tech there. Look, man, look. You knew it was going to happen, right?
Look,
like it's pretty much like divine providence that that Elusive was going to win this game. But Clover, what did anything stick out to you in this game outside of Elusive making me look like an idiot?
I mean, obviously they did, right? But it was a lot of teams that were playing for this position up here to the east. You can even see on the minimap there, right? Elusive rotating in to backfill this position that Orion had earlier. It kind of led off to continue these chases onto Clueless and Gravity, but that put Elusive in a beautiful position for the late game as we see Orion unfortunately fell here, but not before getting off 5 kills. We kind of joked about this play with Batty, who got too comfortable.
Just a little bit.
I'm curious as to what went on there, but I also have to say Destinator, man, he's definitely the star of the show for me, at least in that was a disgusting nade from Jay, though, as I say that. But Destinator really popped off that game, and I'm pretty sure Destinator is actually quite a good player. We just don't really get to see him do much because the team's just never really in a position to frag.
Yeah, Destinator's been nuts since the CBA days, hasn't he, Clover?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of really good talent that's been showing itself up lately today, and even I think Matchroom and Hypot kind of talked about that position that Fizzle had in the end. It was huge, right, for Elusive, able to call the information, but just couldn't control his recoil, and unfortunately fell a little early. So heartbreaking to see, but I mean that's the Elusive that we've been looking for, and that's why we've been so tough on them.
You can whiff a whole mag, but still win the game. You love to see it. Godspeed.
Hey, I'm not letting up. They had a great game and they played well, but that's just one game. I want to see the consistency. Where is it at?
Well, and it's something that we've seen before in PCS3 too, right? Where Destinator kind of pops off and we're kind of left kind of wondering where the rest of the squad is. But they showed up this time. They showed up in a big way. And to be fair, Clover, to the point that you brought up, that fight against Orion was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that position, we had some hard shifts in that circle where everybody was up north kind of anticipating it, and then the circle kept shifting south and then west, and Orion had a really great position to play from there, but they kind of moved to chase kills. Elusive read that situation, and I think really took great advantage. And I mean, we kind of saw a couple of teams stuck in the Prison Bowl as well. So to see them not only take that position, but come out on top of it with a lot of kills to show, as you saw 10 for this game, that's great.
Waiting on seeing what the leaderboards are going to look like after that one. But, we're talking a lot about Elusive. Play for fun. Also finding their way into the top 2 there. And that's a team that needed a few points. Godspeed.
It's actually funny that you mentioned that because I was just thinking about that end game and I was about to actually criticize Play for Fun a little bit on how passive they were. I mean, at the end of the game, If you,
With
we were
two
all
up,
talking
though?
about it. Well, it was 2 up, but they were realistically against a solo and I think a 3-man, which was elusive, right? I understand, potentially being a little more passive, but the problem was they were doing no favors to themselves. They couldn't see anything in the circle. I mean, at that point, at least have one player be active so you know what's going on, in the rest of the circle, especially towards the zone. I mean, because they were on the edge, and then we saw them pick off a kill coming in as the last solo remained. But I don't know. I feel like with that and everything else I've seen so far this level, it's just a lot of passive teams, man. A lot of passive plays when it's really not paying off to be passive. It's much better for these guys to be proactive and actually working. I don't know. That's just my quote unquote hot take. It's not really that hot, but I'm just seeing a lot of passive teams. That's all.
Hot esports opinions, huh? You agree, Clover?
I mean, I think we are seeing a little bit of passive player. Maybe just not even passive is the right word, but being overly careful from some teams. Now, I mean, that very end game where we talk about play for fun and playing it a little bit safe. You did have Addit that was just to their south and kind of, made his presence known a little bit, did able to get a kill, but immediately, obviously, Addit was punished, giving his position away to Elusive as they were going to take him out because we did have all of our solos picked off from that position. I think it was Virtue who also had Evasion X that was up a little bit late that kind of brought that fight through.
Mhm.
So it's going to be kind of interesting, I think, to see, going into Miramar, maybe if some teams, like you said, something just isn't quite clicking right, have that reset, right? Have a new map, bring a new state of mind into the game and see if you can make something work out of it.
Well, let's take a look at our match leaderboard before we head over into our break for the day. There you go, Elusive with that 20 points off the chicken dinner. Play for fun with 10 points, but not a lot of points, not a lot of big point getters anyway here, Godspeed. A lot of spread.
Aside from Elusive, but the other interesting thing to note is every winner has gotten at least 20 points today. All 3. So it's been at least a 10-kill win for everyone. Like I said, Elusive, really happy they shut us up. That was exactly the game they need, but I'm still looking for more from them. Play for fun, even though I kind of just threw a little shade for, watching them prone at the end of the game. They at least made it there, and they got a couple kills on their way as well with 4. So that's not bad as well. And Ascendance, I think, also really needed those points. The biggest talk about, though, is Orion. We were actually just talking about it before we came into the desk. Orion needed a decent game, and that was definitely not a bad game for them.
Not too bad. Let's take a look at the match kills and damage. Clover, Detonator, right up there at the top, but got some friends with him over there on the damage side, too.
Oh, yeah. Look at this. Elusive is just showing their dominance, not only through this match, but now through the kills and damage leaderboard, where you could see just how much work they were putting into this. Additionally, there you go, number 1 Tater, as well as back from Ascendance, Halo Senpai, and Retaliative. Really good to kind of see some of these teams. One thing I've really noticed so far, the first 3 matches, is that we kind of have a shakeup on what teams are making it up in the late game and what teams are really fragging out. There really hasn't been much consistency in terms of a lobby leader so far today. And, that's been something for me that's been kind of interesting. As we take a look now again, KEKW here is obviously still on top, but it's getting close now with a couple more teams starting to close that gap, coming over to the left-hand side.
Is this, you think this might be shaking up to be a close leaderboard after day 1, Godspeed?
I was actually just about to say this is why I kind of do like spectating 12-game series, not playing, but spectating, because it's there really isn't that much of a chance for teams to really pull away with the lead. You know what I mean? Like, sure, let's say we can have KEKW Kiers, maybe they get a couple more really good games and they're just a shoo-in for at least 3rd place, which is fine, but realistically, you're not having a team completely dominate, and it keeps things very close towards the bottom, and that's what I do like about the short series. As a spectator or a commentator, not as a player, it's very stressful as a player.
Check in on our overall kills and damage here. Clover, Nitrogen up at the top with 9 now. Sharu still holding down that damage. One of the things I noticed on that leaderboard, though, Clover, the 3 teams that have gotten wins, their placement points have been 10, 10, and 11. So do you think that's a trend that'll continue, where these teams that are getting the wins are kind of struggling throughout the rest of the games?
Oh, I hope not. Like you said, right? A team comes out on a chicken dinner and then seems to go out early next game. We've seen this just about with every single winner. And so after obviously giving a little bit, I think, of kind of, I don't want to say hate, but we're giving a lot onto Elusive for that performance going into
Not
this match.
anymore.
Now, obviously, they're looking great. I want to see them not go out early for the next game on Miramar. And Nitrogen's been putting in so much work here. Look at this, 12 kills for Cozy Crew, but Cozy Crew kind of got a little bit cozy this game.
Get the knocks, yeah.
And they went out themselves again early. I think actually Nitrogen was the only one to get a kill this match.
Yeah, he's leading with the kills, leading with the knocks, retaliative, leading with the assists here for Keck WQs. I gotta imagine a lot of that coming from that game 2 win that they had. Now,
Oh yeah.
I think we got called out on Twitter by somebody, Godspeed, I think, about who we may be focusing on here on Keck W.
Yeah, clearly it's not about simply Matt. It's about the other members. But I mean, they played really well. I don't really know what to say to that, to be honest.
Sometimes you're 4 up and you get to work the edge of a circle and have no pressure and no bullets coming back at you, and all of a sudden everybody on the team looks like Luke 12. So, hey, yeah, you know. Well, we're about to switch over to Miramar, but before we do, we are going to take a short break. So, is there? I guess, do you have anything you want to say to wrap up Erangel here, Clover?
Now, I mean, teams obviously that struggled a little bit, show us what you can do on Miramar.
Time for the reset, Godspeed, right?
It is. I mean, I'm just looking forward to my favorite map, so let's get it.
Your favorite map. All right, guys, we are going to be back very, very quickly. We're going to take a short break to reset our casters, to reset our lobbies, but don't go anywhere because we are going to be right back.